Who is the criminal, you ask? Don't we search for them in this story? Who is the criminal, you ask? Do you even know what the criminal did? Who's the criminal? Who is the criminal who will kill me now?
Welcome everybody to the Himatsubushi tea party for Rokkenjima. I am your host Aspirety, and joining me this week we have Rabla.
Hey.
Joining us for the first time we have pictoshark.
Oh no, my mic is picking up every time I swallow.
And joining us for this week we have VyseGolbez.
Hello, it's me again.
Before we jump into the discussion, I would like to do something fun with our 30-second recap. pictoshark, would you like to take us away?
Sure thing. Time for some wacky high school horror hijinks. Another chapter of What's this? An adult-themed protagonist off to meet an old friend? After we dive into a flashback whose length puts Berserk to shame, and learn many interesting things about the build-up to the last chapter, we snap back to the present for one of the most touching scenes in the question arcs. New faces for old characters, a brand new mood, a main character who can see both sides of the Hinamizawa conflict, and lots of fuel for the supernatural fire. Also, there's a game of Mahjong.
There sure was a game of Mahjong, wasn't there?
The best game of Mahjong.
I can't deal with Mahjong scenes and anything. I have no idea what's going on.
Why?
Especially this one being all text.
I mean, I could at least appreciate the intensity of it. Akasaka, when he gets into full Mahjong mode, is really cool.
Yeah, can
And
we
scary.
I appreciate the cheap battle. I can always appreciate a cheap battle.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much like the equivalent of the club activity
game.
scenes, yeah. And I like it.
I mean, people who say this doesn't have any club activities are this episode doesn't have any club activities are blatantly wrong.
Yeah, I mean, that's it.
We got Mahjong, dudes.
It also seems to be less quantity but more quality, I would say, in the club activity scenes.
Yeah, I really liked Chapter 4.
Chapter 3 and 4 in terms of, that. Anyway, just as a bit of a preface, there might be some people listening to this who have no idea what's going on. Basically, the Higurashi Tea Party is an event that Rokkenjima, our community for 07th expansion fans, is hosting, where people can join in on our forum and read through these chapters of Higurashi and discuss them as a community. And this podcast is kind of like culminating all of that discussion and speculation that's happened into a single viewing. So sit back and enjoy. We've got lots of speculations to make and lots of cool things to discuss. Getting back into it. So, general impressions about this chapter. I know Picto really likes it.
Should we start with Vyse, because he's the lowest in the alphabet?
Sure, why not?
Sure. Well, I definitely liked Himatsubushi. I liked the protagonist, so Akasaka. For once, I didn't. Yeah, for once I didn't feel like I had to scream at the screen because the protagonist does something dumb.
Yeah, he's actually a bit competent.
Yep. And I also really liked Rika's serious side we got to see here.
Rika's definitely had a serious side that's been sort of foreshadowed before now, but this is the first time I feel like we've really seen her other personality in the...
When is it shown before now?
It's kind of hinted at with like how important she is to the village and everything. And like how she's like that scene in Tatari Gorshi, was it? Or no, was it Watanagashi? I think it was Watanagashi where Rika's like, "Don't worry, Keiichi, I'll take care of it."
That was Watanagashi.
Yeah, that's Watana.
Yeah. And that's kind of like...
The cats and dogs.
Yeah, the cats and dogs,
The
basically.
least memorable of all the arcs.
Hey, man. I mean, that was the scene where I'm like, wow, Rika's actually a really interesting character. But yeah, like, we'll get more into that later, because I feel like this podcast is going to be spending a lot of time talking about Rika, so we'll save that for later.
She's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, she's a big deal. What do you think of the arc in general, Rabla?
I knew we were supposed to expect a side story. It was a bit further back than I thought it would be.
Mm.
And it was really interesting to see. I guess it's the stuff. It's sort of build up. It links a lot to chapter 3, like we said. It's not my favorite I still like Watanagashi better.
Yeah, you're gonna like me,
But,
Meakashi.
Oh, I know, but... No, it's a cool change of pace.
I personally really like this chapter. In particular, like, as everyone has said, it's really refreshing to get a new change of perspective and kind of see things from more of an outside perspective, because when you're Keiichi, you're always biased, and you're either going all the way with Oishi's, like, crazy conspiracy theories, or you're all the way with Hinamizawa and, like, you know, everyone else is the enemy. So, like, there's no real middle ground. But with Akasaka, you kind of get that more rational third-party perspective of he's able to see things from the police investigations point of view and also from the townspeople. Like, you can actually empathize with the people of Hinamizawa at the same time as suspecting some of them, which is really cool and very helpful from a mystery perspective. But just in terms of, like, value of the story itself, I guess the whole, like, investigating the kidnapping was kind of cool. I definitely thought the scene with, you know, holding each other up at gunpoint was entertaining to me, especially because I kind of want to talk about that briefly. The whole scene where Akasaka is, like, begging for his life. Did you believe he was, like, putting that on, or that he was genuine?
I think he knew that Oishi was behind the other guy. It just seemed very out of character with every other way he'd acted up to that point.
It did seem a little bit, yeah. But then I did wonder if it was real.
I was grinning ear to ear when it was happening, because I just kind of almost knew that it was an act. So I was like, the thing's coming up. The thing's gonna happen.
I don't know, like, I kind of looked at it a different way, and I thought, wow, like, if he's actually willing to sacrifice his pride to save his life is kind of something you never see in movies or anything, and very realistic, I would think. I definitely would probably act a similar way if I had a gun pointed at me, and, you know...
I mean, if it wasn't Akasaka, then I'd agree with you, but unfortunately...
But the one thing I loved more than anything about this chapter was the epilogue. Obviously, from a mystery perspective, it's very helpful, but just... It's so emotionally cathartic to see these characters just breaking down, particularly Akasaka, just, like, losing himself in despair over the fact that he couldn't save Rika and the others. It's like, fuck, man. Like, we've spent these whole chapters just dealing with this repeated series of deaths over and over, and this is the first time where we can finally look back on it and be really sad about it. Because it is really depressing, and it's emotionally cathartic.
Everyone is fucking dead.
Yeah, I really liked that scene, that whole scene of, like, you know, we need to get our revenge and, like, you know, find the truth. And then Akasaka's like, but they're dead anyway. It's like, yeah, but we gotta still do it. It's like, it's good shit. I really liked that. And that's me gushing. This is the Aspie gushing session.
There's plenty of gushing coming up, don't worry.
So that's general impressions out of the way.
I love how we just skipped over my general impressions.
Oh, did we? All right,
yeah,
you go.
We kind of segued off of Rabla's into Oishi as a character, and then
yeah. Anyway, your impressions, pictoshark?
This is the best episode of Higurashi so far. It's just
that's a bold thing.
It's so good. It's so nice to, like, see it from a more adult perspective. Rather than, like, as kids, like, this is just where we live and where we go to school, you know? And things sometimes happen here. But, like, as adult, like, thinking about, like, why the other adults are doing things. So, like, you never really, like, get anything like that off of Keiichi.
Yeah.
Like, when Keiichi is, like, in chapter 1, what's the guy? Onikakushi?
Onikakushi.
You never, like, see Keiichi thinking, oh, well, you know, it's somewhat reasonable to flip out this much if your town's gonna be buried. He's, like, takes a very neutral perspective while reading the magazines and then goes, yo, I don't want to die.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to, like, see this, like, people thinking about it. And, like, it's also kind of nice how a lot of the plot isn't necessarily from Akasaka's competence. And a lot of the good things that happen to him are, like, coincidental.
Yeah.
It really feels like he's in enemy territory. And, you know, he could be discovered at any moment. So I really liked, Asaka. I'm really bad at remembering protagonists' names.
Akasaka!
Yeah, I really liked him. I kind of missed the wacky stuff, but I liked how focused it was. And I liked how, like, the fun stuff and the scary stuff gelled together better in this chapter than it did in all the previous ones. The scarce horror moments were, like, very good. You know, like, there weren't, like, too many, but the ones that were there were great. And just the feeling of, like, seeing Hinamizawa at this moment of crisis, with them, like, stopping vans and harassing people.
Yeah.
And, like, seeing, like, this guerrilla warfare. It was really interesting.
It was, wasn't it? Like, we've always heard about this incident in the past, and it's kind of painted our perspectives of characters, but now we actually see it. And it really is a war zone. I love that they don't, like, shy around that fact. It's a modern-day war zone.
One interesting thing that I learned through Himatsubushi is that the actual Yakuza relations of the Sonozakis only came once Orio's daughter married into it.
Yeah. Was that first established here?
I think it was.
Yeah, they talk about the all the parents because they have the meeting flashback.
Yeah. We do learn a bit more about the Sonozaki family here. They definitely have a lot of influence, but yeah, I really like how they cover it all up with Orio's. She just makes a statement and then people try to make her happy.
That's fascinating.
That's really fascinating. And I can actually see that happening in real Yakuza. Like, I can just see that in my head. I've never met a Yakuza, but I can see that being a thing.
That was a suspiciously specific denial there, Aspen.
I've never met a Yakuza, though, so I wouldn't know.
It's not like I'm a Yakuza myself or anything.
How deep do the Rokejima connections go?
How do you think we afford both sites?
I have all the other Osense expansion communities paid out. I bought them out, and they're not going to bother us anymore. Sea cats, forget about it.
Hey, we solved the problem, boss. They ain't gonna be bothering you no more. We got the lockdown on When They Cry 5.
We'll be the only community covering. Okay, come on. But yeah, Rabla, do you have any thoughts on that?
About, like, the families?
Yeah, the whole Yakuza structure and all that.
It is kind of interesting that, like, yeah, basically what Vice says. Because they build it up as this big Yakuza thing. Then you turn out that's not the direct family that was married in.
But it's...
They're just kind of helping because they ended up there, really.
Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, I don't think there's any disputing the fact that the Sonozaki, or at least Orio's will, was responsible for that child being kidnapped in the first place. Like, do we all agree on that?
Yeah.
It sounds like that's not, like, she didn't directly want that, but she was like, that's how you're dealing with it, okay, let's run with it.
Yeah, like, that's the thing, isn't it? She doesn't necessarily have direct control over everything, because
when she finds out, she's like, oh, it'd be a shame if anything bad happened, though.
Yeah, it's like, maybe some extremists, like, just acted out of, like, their own thoughts of what she would approve of, and then she's like,
it's also
well,
a really
let's go
clever legal trick, I suppose you could say.
It is, yes.
Because you guys know why incitement to violence is restricted, even in most countries that allow hate speech, right? You know the actual practical reason for that, right?
Do tell the audience, Victor.
It's, okay, from what I've heard, it's so you have a crime that you can charge, like, gang bosses with. Because if you tell people to go shoot up a shop, then you can be charged for that because you told those people to go. You incited violence. Because of the way Audio seems to be doing it, she's technically clean right now.
She is. Like, even morally, it's kind of grey. Like, how can you really, like, commit her for a crime that she didn't tell anyone to do. It's just someone acted on behalf of her wishes, supposedly. And even then, it's entirely possible that they weren't acting to what she wanted, and they just did their own thing. And then she can completely absolve responsibility. And that's so clever. It's so devious.
Yeah, the way she acts about it made it seem like it's just something that someone did, and she had a pretty good idea that the person who was responsible was in the room.
Yeah, or at least had connections, yeah.
Yeah, was connected to like it was one of their subordinates or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm. So, like, the culpability of Oreo is definitely, and the Sonozaki family is definitely under question, but it definitely wouldn't have happened if the Sonozaki family didn't exist. It's interesting. It's very fascinating. And it really does paint this sort of grey morality that Higurashi is all about. Just this, you have this whole situation of being in a war zone and, like, everyone's, sometimes Akasaka's like, oh god, everyone's looking at me, they're gonna kill me. And then he finds out later, they knew about me all along and they didn't do anything. So, like, where does that put me? Like, they obviously know I'm an outsider and what I'm doing, but they might not be so bad if they just didn't outright, do anything harmful. Like, they welcomed him pretty easily. Like, they wanted to show him the Hinamizawa alliance and, like, kind of, like, almost to paint a good image. Like, they wanted to be in the good standing of the cops, I think, is kind of what they were going for. But then
That's kind of a normal thing to do, yeah.
Yeah, but then you kind of had things like where it's Rika is speaking earnestly with her and, like, earnestly with him, sorry. And, like, he's kind of made friends in the village and he's, like, just celebrating with the old people at the festival. And it's just like, this is such a strange situation where these people are clearly enemies and yet he's able to just put it all aside and just enjoy the night. It's really cool.
I guess by that point, the conflict was quote-unquote resolved.
Yeah, and it's just like, well, we don't care anymore. Yeah. So yeah, just on the topic of that, Rika, she's kind of interesting to this chapter.
Rika, the weird thing about her is that at a later point she just predicts all of the murders that are going to happen in the following years.
Not only that, she also predicts the death of what was it, Yukio?
Yeah.
So supposedly
that one is that's
Vega.
more an assumption of Akasaka that she predicted that.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know if that was really the reason why Rika told him to go back on the first day he was in Hinamizawa.
Yeah, maybe she meant that if he didn't leave, someone would shank him.
Although, to be fair, if you want to say that Rika has the power to see the future, then you'd have to concede that she was probably meaning to predict that specific event, because nothing else bad really happened to him as a result of going there, except for that.
Now,
So if you're already going
assuming...
all in on fantasy...
this is where the conflict arises, doesn't it?
Well, the magic is bullshit, so...
So we basically have two opposing interpretations here. There's the magical interpretation where Rika did legitimately prophesize some sort of chain of events, and there's a alternate explanation, which I think Rabla is going to be pushing for in this podcast.
As always.
I need someone to take up the mantle of the fantasy side here. Does anyone want to do the honors?
I can do the fantasy side. I'm actually fantasy in Higurashi.
Okay. Cool.
So we
I
can
saw
go
you,
forward.
Ashley, you have an interesting theory that we should get into later.
Yeah.
I saw that on the forum.
Okay, so, more importantly, if you take a there's no fantasy perspective, then the most natural way to explain Rika being able to predict every single death is the whole, then the deaths being planned thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then you run into issues with, the death that Keiichi theorized that Satoko committed in Chapter 3. I forgot which specific year it was. The one where the drug addict was arrested. You know that one?
That was 1982. So that's
I don't even know what year Higurashi takes place in.
Higurashi takes place in 1983, so it's the last one that happened
the 1 year
before the
prior.
one
1 year
that we're
back.
always seeing.
Yeah, the crime, the 1982 crime.
I'm glad they translated the years. I just remember in the Higurashi anime they always use like Showa, and it's just like I don't know what that is.
In 1982, the police investigation concluded that a random drug addict did it. Keiichi's impromptu, very emotional investigation in Chapter 3 concludes that Satoko is a madman, genius,
Satoshi.
murderer man.
You
Satoshi. Satoshi. And managed to commit it himself. And if you take a full non-fantasy approach, then you have to say that it was predicted, that it was conducted by someone else. Like, really? Wasn't it a bit of a random pick on that year?
Well, Vice doesn't think it's random.
Oh, that was in the podcast. Also in the forum. I concluded that Satoko just planned everything in each following year. Because...
That's quite something.
Yeah.
Why don't we talk about that a bit further?
The idea behind that was that beside following the dismemberment, Satoko's parents, Satoko already reportedly didn't like her father, and maybe she disliked her mother suddenly as well, or her mother dying there as well was actually an accident and she only wanted to hit her father. In the following year, when Rika's parents died, Satoko felt bad about Rika getting hit by her father because she did something wrong. So I assume that might be a motive. And, well, Satoko's aunt dying is pretty obvious again because Satoko apparently was abused by her aunt, so...
Okay, so my biggest thrust for there being more going on than what seems to be going on at first is Keiichi's familiarity with Satoshi's name in Chapter 3. In Chapter 1, he goes, when he hears Satoshi's name, his response is basically, what the hell is a Satoshi? But in Chapter 3, he's like, oh, I think I know who Satoshi is. He was like,
yeah.
that transfer, and there isn't really any reason for this to happen.
That is very interesting that there seems to be this huge discrepancy in what has happened in the different chapters for Keiichi to have that information. By our timeline, did Tatari Goroshi start after Onikakushi started, or if you didn't check the forum, Vice did prepare a timeline of the event.
Yeah, I've seen the timeline. I just haven't committed to memory.
I'm saying for our audience's sake.
Oh, okay, right. Why is
People listen to this.
Why is the thread not pinned right now?
Because it's over.
Tatari Goroshi started before the other chapters.
Uh-huh. Which is even
Which
more
makes
weird.
it even more spurious.
Yeah.
Alright, Occam's Razor, let's go. Why don't we just tackle both Rika being able to predict everything and this weird oddity in one shot? Wouldn't that be fun? Explain everything.
Do you have something in mind?
So you know in Steins Gate, right? It's gonna be a wonderful sentence when you start it like that. In Steins Gate, there are certain characters that when time travel is made, can remember details from before the time travel was done. In addition, other characters can remember small fragments of what happened in a small way when changes are made to the time stream. I am basically just saying this explains the whole of Higurashi. Or most of Higurashi. Basically, literal time resets. So all of the chapters, in a way, kind of take place in the same universe? and the universe is literally resetting to the next or previous one.
I have an issue with this.
What is your issue with this?
It's fucking time travel.
I hate time travel.
I mean, to be fair, back when Higurashi was written, the whole time travel storylines weren't as overdone yet.
Yeah, that is an important thing to keep in mind, Rabla.
Do you have a scientific, logical explanation to how time travel works in the Higurashi universe?
No.
Fuck you.
Higurashi is clearly setting up a dichotomy between fantasy and between magic shit and done by humans, and it isn't being set up as like a theme of the work like in other works by When They Cry. It's just set up the dichotomy. Like, it's just told you pick one or the other.
It definitely does, especially in this chapter. It really comes to a head.
That is very much, I think that's a misdirection. It's intentionally misleading you that way, and there is small fantasy elements, and it's done by humans, but most of the stuff is done by humans.
So basically, Keiichi
I'm
was
also
right
going
all
to
along.
really annoy you, Rabla, by saying that the first 2 deaths were a coincidence. That they happened at the same time. And then the killer decided to take advantage of it from there and go for the third one.
Alright.
They went, wait, I can make a pattern off of this. And then they started murdering people.
So you think fantasy is part of the setting, but not necessarily the mystery?
Yeah, sure, let's go with that.
Basically, Keiichi was right all along in saying, why not both?
Our Lord and Saviour, K1-san.
You did it.
Did you have any comments about this, Vice?
There's actually another supportive little point in Watanagashi, because in Onikakushi, Oishi is like, oh my god, I never noticed that it was always one person dying and one person going missing. And in Watanagashi, he is already aware of that fact. That's another discrepancy.
Although, I can explain that without weirdness, Vise. It could have been just him making... That could have just been typical negotiation stuff. He's trying to make Keiichi feel valued, so when Keiichi puts forward a theory, he goes, oh my god, that's genius. Even though he's already realised that. I would know it because it's the kind of thing I do.
Yeah, but Oishi's the shit.
Oishi, you read chapter 4. How is Oishi a shit?
That's... Oishi in chapter 4 is weird.
I like Oishi a lot.
It's weird to see him in like that setting. Because we're used to him being like a foreboding presence that you don't want around.
Well, we're only used to that from chapter 3, right?
It was kind of like that in
Watanagashi too, yeah.
Because
really much in Watanagashi.
When Keiichi's like getting in on the problem, he's like, oh, Oishi's trying to like force his way in because Oishi's still trying to figure his stuff out, and it's like, I don't want to talk to you.
One key thing is that one of Oishi's, what people call one of his most villainous scenes, which will be the chapter 3, the digging up scene.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was definitely the worst one.
But if you look at it from his perspective, that could totally be like an amazing protagonist making a horrible murderer dig up utterly destroying a cruel murderer sort of moment. If it was handled a little bit differently.
Yeah, it's just a matter of perspective.
Hi there, Keiichi-san. Start digging.
I think the most questionable moment would be when he picks a fight with Keiichi outside the school. Yeah,
that would be his biggest WTF Oishi moment.
Yeah, it's just what the fuck Oishi.
He's just a clearly kid. The most what the fuck Oishi moment is when he violates the sacred, the sanctity of Mahjong and starts cheating.
He's a filthy cheater. He's completely irredeemable.
Oishi is the killer.
Oishi is a scumbag, but he's a lovable scumbag, I think. I understand him.
It'd be real nice if...
He's a well-developed character.
Yeah.
Vice, do you have any thoughts about this whole interpretation of time travel and shit?
Honestly, I can see that.
Yeah? Like, I'm just trying to get my head around it. Like, you think someone's time traveling?
Well, no, I'm just
No.
saying that some sort of time reset shenanigans.
He's saying it's a full
I'm more
reset.
thinking that there's some sort of time loop going on. The big question would be, why is
Endless
there a
eight.
time loop? Who is causing that, and all that kind of stuff.
I thought you were going on the line of, like, reading Steiner or something, and I was like, I don't know.
Because I feel like that's the position Rika is in. She's clearly remembering more than everyone else. She's like, oh, by the way, the murders are gonna occur on here, and here, and here, and here.
This is who dies. This is how it happens.
And she's,
Yeah.
as we see in Chapter 2, she's probably the most proactive of the characters. She has the most proactive moments in trying to stop things.
You think so?
Well, like, she literally is like, I've got a syringe and I'm gonna do things with the syringe, and then the next thing we know, she's dead. That worked out really well. Great job there,
Game
Rika.
over. But then, like, yeah, I have lots of questions here. Like, if there is a time loop, where does the time start and end? Like, how do we define that?
Also, do you think Onikakushi is the first loop, or do you think it's already started by the point we play?
That's another question.
I mean, not necessarily. Even in Endless 8, the first episode wasn't the first loop.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
Do you think there are 10,384 loops of Higurashi? Or whatever the fuck it is.
But Endless 8 made it more insulting by making it be like 2 weeks. So like thousands of years of bullshit summer.
Honestly,
Fucking sick of these cicadas.
what a time loop would also explain is that Rika just appears, just more than several times appears to be just too mature for her age.
Yeah.
That would explain that.
Another thing I just remembered.
Rabla's
did
getting
Rika-
flustered.
What did Rika... Yeah, you fucking... What
We'll
did
get to you,
Rika
Rabla, we'll get to you.
say that she wanted in this chapter?
She wants to have a happy life, have fun with her friends, and she
That
doesn't want to
explains
die.
why someone who knows about the loops and knows the murders are going to happen only starts moving and acting proactively once they start. Because
What's
the
that?
goal she's aiming for is being able to is having these board game fun times with her friends. So, like, you know...
So even though she's in on it, the reason shit still goes down is because she doesn't want to get involved until it's actively threatening her fun.
Yes. I suppose you could put it that way. And that is a very... And, like, the way to, like, think about things that aren't directly happening right now as, like, not too important is, like, very much the way a child's brain works, no matter how much experience they have. Like, until their head develops more. Which could also explain that somewhat.
Now, we've gone way down the fantasy rabbit hole. I feel like we need to counterbalance
fantasy
this a
is
bit.
clearly real. Oyashiro-sama is fake.
And
Join me in Steins Gate.
Look, I will say that the story does seem to, like, support your theory. Like, there's definitely a lot of evidence to support that, but then, like, I figure there's going to also be a lot of evidence to support the contrary. Like, that's the kind of dichotomy way of dealing with here. So we should look at the evidence in favor of a not magic interpretation and see where that takes us.
There is obviously the main thing that sticks out is Rika's knowledge and her. Are we still going with? I missed the last podcast. I haven't listened to it yet. But are we still going with like dissociative identity disorder theories?
I mean, yeah. I mean,
So it seems to be happening to like everyone.
At first, Rabla complains about lazy writing with time travel, and now he's penning DID onto a plot.
That's a real thing.
Isn't that kind of debatable in the medical community right now?
no, it's a real thing.
But we have so many characters that we could put the ID on, and then it just becomes very weird. Like in one town, there are really so many people that have DID. Really now?
Something in the water.
I mean, I guess this is like another one of those cases where like you're reading, like you're watching a TV show, and like 70% of the characters are like bi, and you're like, this doesn't really represent percentages. Like DID is a rare condition. You can't just pen it to literally
that is
everyone
true.
in Higurashi.
I will accept this.
I have a counter argument for you, pictoshark.
Oh?
Anime.
Oh shit! He pulled that truth bullet out.
That's the stupidest
It's
thing I've
fucking
said.
it's fucking anime, which is also a great argument in favor of fantasy. So Rabla, you just kind of shot yourself in the foot.
Yeah. Do you want to take that argument off the table before we win by default?
Okay, let's.
You could explain Rika's changes as clearly Rika knows there's shit going down. She's overhearing it somewhere from Kimiyoshi or her mom or Oreo.
I mean, we know she hears
Fucking
everything.
covers.
She's fucking always in those meetings.
She's in the
Yeah.
room.
Yeah. She's hanging out under the blanket, drawing, and Oreo's like, we need to kill that wife. And Rika's like, oh.
Oh shit!
But why were the
And I hate-
murders planned so far in advance?
I don't know. Okay, let me finish this train of thought first. Rika's other personality, since she is constantly being exposed to this society or culture, menacing bullshit that the Sonozaki's put on. If Rika comes out of these meetings with all this knowledge, because people are like, oh yeah, whatever, it's Rika. She's not going to care if we talk about killing some damn manager in front of her. And she comes out and she sees the cop, and she likes the cop and they're friends. And she's like, I'm going to be a hero. I'm going to tell the cop what's going on. And I'm going to do it cool, because I'm a cool kid.
Are you attempting
I'm
to
gonna tell the
explain
co-
away the entire plot of Higurashi with Chunibyoism?
I mean, it kind of fits. Like, I can see that. Like, especially when you're a kid and, like, you're kind of exposed to all
Rika's
this...
very young
all this...
in this one.
Yeah, if you're exposed to all
So
of
Rika
this shit
is
from a young age,
intentionally
it
being
kind of, like...
foreboding and creepy as shit in Chapter 4. Is that your theory? Because that would be cool.
And Rika's like, oh, but I like Akusaka. We met today. I don't want him to be sad. I'll go tell him that bad things are happening. And when she gives him the warning about the wife, what we're assuming is the warning about Yukie, they're with people, so she can't just say it.
But then why wouldn't
But
she...
when she tells you about the murders in sequence, they're by themselves, so she can say it.
That's true. They were only, like, a, ears shot distance from the other people in the festival the first time.
But...
Yeah, and when Rika gives the warning about Yukie, the driver is standing with them.
But... what motive does Hinamizawa have for killing her?
Well, she doesn't. You can't. I can't explicitly say that she knew Yukie was going to die.
Wait,
Like we
okay,
said
what?
before, maybe Rika, because like we come in on the second day and it's like, oh,
Okay,
everyone
okay.
actually already knows who you are. And Rika's like, I don't want my new friend to get stabbed. I'm gonna tell
Yeah,
him to go home.
that could be good, but then how do we explain her cutting the
phone
phone
lines.
wires? Yeah.
I don't know. That was weird.
Because that's really easy to explain if we go for a silly explanation of, last time, when I didn't cut the phone lines, he got so fucking depressed. This time I will.
And then I can talk to him.
Yes.
Point one, pictoshark. Let's talk about the volcano thing, the swamp, the GHD.
You guys didn't talk about that in Chapter 3?
We did, but it was very unsatisfying.
Alright, so So we all agree that the motorcycle in the swamp is what made it go boom, right?
That would put the question, why did it go boom in Himatsubushi?
That's stupid.
No, they already... We what? Because Himatsubushi takes place after Thingamabob. This isn't...
Explain to me how a motorbike can cause a fucking...
They
a catastrophe
literally
on that
say...
level.
Because they... No, it's very clearly hinted at. They, like, say, oh, well, you know, if you were to throw, like, something with, I don't know, gasoline in it, then that would probably trigger it. It's either said in chapter 4 or 3. Good luck going through both of them to find it. I am not doing that.
I do not remember that.
I don't recall. I remember them saying you shouldn't throw shit in the lake, but they didn't say anything like that.
But there's also the fact that people have been throwing shit in this swamp for years now. Like, it's kind of a thing.
They had?
Yeah.
Wasn't it a thing
that's why it's a gross swamp.
The fucking wife drowned herself in it. And, like, they had... Remember there was those stories about the ritual ceremonies they had? Where they'd put someone, like, on that and just let them, like, sink to death?
How about this, Aspie? My theory is that the bike was the straw that broke the camel's back. Done. If you're gonna go there, I can adjust my theory.
You know, I'm gonna break my rule right here.
No, don't break your rule.
The motorbike did not cause the incident. You can take that as a bold assertion.
Dun, dun, dun.
Alright, so...
Because it's fucking stupid! It's a stupid theory!
No, it's not stupid!
It's so stupid!
You're editing this out in post, Aspie.
No! I'm leaving it in. I need you to think of a better theory, because that's fucking stupid. Well, one of the explanations given was that Rika's death caused the gas to come out as sort of like, that's kind of like the supernatural interpretation.
Retribution, yeah.
Yeah, the divine retribution
I'm not
theory. You buy time travel, but you won't buy that.
Yeah, because then that's tying it into the mystery.
I see. Well,
right.
that's
so,
valid.
how long had Rika's body been... Actually, here's my first point against Rika's death causing the volcanic explosion. Rika had been dead for a while before it went boom. If this was divine retribution, you'd think she dies, bam, volcano, you know?
Yeah.
But instead, and the delay is even longer than you think it is. Because remember, when we stumble upon Rika's body, it's already being chewed by crows. It has been left out to lie there for quite a while.
We don't know exactly how long. That could have been like 20 minutes.
Another point for...
Yeah, the only information we have is that they found her, and then a few hours later it erupted.
Yes, that is correct.
No, because they mentioned that, like, it erupted during, like, late night, and during, like, you know, like, past 10, like, when everyone was asleep in their houses.
I said it's like 2 a.m.
Guys, it's way easier for the divine retribution thing to be wrong, because Rika dies in Watanagashi, and we don't have the volcano going boom in Watanagashi.
That is true.
Okay,
Yeah.
Vyse just blew you guys all the fuck out, holy shit. Game over. No, wait, actually, I'm sorry, I hate to go supernatural again, but you could say that the blasphemy of killing her on that altar is what caused it.
Okay, that was the other point I was going to bring up. It was like a
Didn't they say she wasn't killed there?
At the very least, if Aspie is going to reject the bike, I love Bike-san, but he viciously murdered it with his cruel stakes of...
Can we have a moment of silence for Bike-san?
Alright, so, if we're rejecting Bike-san, then why would someone kill Rika in such a savage and ritualistic way? And isn't it a bit of a coincidence the volcano went boom right after? Well, not right after, but like 24 hours later. It almost seems like
12 hours.
The culprit was like,
It was that night.
you know, who I've already theorized knew the volcano was going to explode somehow. Decided to kill Rika there to, like, spook people when they finally get into Hinamizawa, and they're like, oh, these are the bones of the Shrine Maiden on the altar. This is creepy as fuck.
She also knew she was going to be killed that way. Or, no, oh, actually, she didn't say it was going to be that way, but she knew she was going to die. Do you think that was, like... Because, like, we do find out later that she was killed in the same way in, fucking...
Okay, so, even ignoring the fact that they don't die in Chapter 2. Remember, like, the volcanic eruption occurs at 2 a.m., and don't, like, all the events on the last day of Chapter 3 happen early in the morning? Like, after Keiichi has woke up, and then he goes to Satoko's, and Satoko has been in the bath all night, and he gets her up, and then she pushes him off the bridge, and then the rest of the day passes, evening passes, the sun sets, and then the volcano goes boom. Like, clearly we're not dealing with divine retribution here, because...
It does seem a bit odd.
Oyashiro-sama is being really slow.
Maybe 2 a.m. is symbolic for him.
Well, that wasn't foreshadowed, so... F off.
He just really likes that time.
Wait, when did Tomitake die? Maybe it was at 2 a.m. That would be the stupidest theory. But yeah...
There is another question, and it's like... How did Keiichi survive?
He literally couldn't have been there the whole time, or he must have had an oxygen mask on him. It's what do you call it? How do they refer to it in episode 1 of Umineko? When, like, you're cornered in a game of chess, and there are only 4 moves open to you. So it's really obvious what you have to do to get an advantage. Like, the literal only thing we can say was, Keiichi was not down there without a mask.
It's not too different from a closed room mystery, really. It appears completely perfectly closed, but there must be, a way that either it isn't closed or that, they weren't in it to begin with. What are our possibilities here?
What are our possibilities? That's a very good question, and the answers we have open to us are very narrow.
If you wanna believe he was incredibly lucky, which based on other events he's probably not.
No, they specifically said that the gas was down there during that time period.
Do we trust that information?
If you want to go I can come up with a Madman Keiichi luck situation, where there was suddenly a flood down there, which washed him to a different location, and then he was washed back over there by the time he woke up, but that's just stupid.
Oh yeah, the tide went up, he floated away. Gas hit the town, tide went down, he floated back.
I'm pretty sure that'll be the most disappointing answer to this solution, to this mystery that's, like, possible.
Amnesia.
So let's not even remotely entertain it.
Yeah.
Okay, what if he died?
Okay.
And the rest of the story is a fabrication? Or he's a ghost?
But he can't be a ghost because the Japan Self-Defense Forces find him and take him.
They're also dead.
The dead soldiers of the past.
I mean, Victor, your earlier move on the forum was to say that the culprit just took him away on a whim and then took him back.
To
get back on top.
What is this whim?
Pardon?
What's this whim?
I need this kid alive.
Okay.
He's not scarred enough yet.
If you saw, like, Keiichi sitting down the riverbank and you were the killer, wouldn't you do that just to fuck with him?
Depends on what motives are.
Actually, I can think of a motive.
Okay.
Like,
wait.
Say the culprit actually caused the volcanic incident somehow. If we assume that, then we could say that the culprit saved Keiichi so that there is one remaining, what's it called? Survivor, yeah. One remaining witness of Hinamizawa. To basically build the legend.
I suppose that could work.
Because the culprit can't really just say, yo, I'm a survivor, I know what happened. Because that would be dumb.
The reason why the culprit saved Keiichi is because the culprit has a personal attachment to Keiichi. Keiichi's mum theory.
Keiichi's
I
mom
wasn't gonna go.
Yeah!
I wasn't gonna go there.
Perfect.
This is my favorite.
Why
She
did I
told
go to this podcast?
Keiichi about the best crimes for the no beginning thing because she was manipulating him into murdering Teppen, whatever the hell his name is. And then,
Keiichi's mum is the mastermind.
yes,
Oh, holy shit.
it all makes sense. No, better,
That's why she didn't
better,
have a sprite, obviously,
Better.
because she's the culprit.
better. No, it's even better than that, actually, yeah? So you know how I always say that obviously Takano is the culprit? Just because her character design. And
We
the way
haven't
she
even
acts.
talked about that yet.
Well, I keep
It's
posting on the
it's
forum.
it's something he says.
And you said this at the start of this discussion. This is like a continuation of the forum thing.
Yeah,
Or, like-
but we do need to incorporate the forum discussion and, like, tell people what's happened on the forum.
Okay, so basically, all listeners, I think Takano is totes the culprit. Okay, moving on. So, clearly, Keiichi's mum is Takano, and he never noticed. Did you ever see them in the same room? I'm gonna go shut
This
up
is-
now.
Are you also going to say that Tomitake is his dad?
That's why Takano has to disguise herself.
What?
Because she's cheating on Keiichi's dad with Tomitake.
Okay, I need to strike this down. Why did he not recognize his mum when he saw Takano for the first
Because
time?
the disguise is that good.
Oh my
and-
god.
She triggered the great Hinamizawa disaster and killed Tomitake in order to cover up her infidelity. And she built up the entire curse over all these years in order to make the final cover-up even better. She has been planning killing off everyone and the man she's cheating on for the last 5 years.
That's awfully drastic to just cover up her infidelity.
No, because we don't know what career she's in, right? Maybe she's in a career where she'd like... Because remember, this takes place in the 80s, right? Right? We've got to think
Yeah.
of gender norms back then. Would you want to employ someone who everyone knew as like that woman who cheated on all those people? No, you wouldn't. It's for her career security. And it
So she
ties
needs
back
to
into
kill
gender
all the
roles in
witnesses.
that time. Yeah, it's just to kill all the witnesses.
This
She
is
blew
the
up a
best
volcano.
Higurashi theory. I mean, like, obviously that Renner one was pretty good too, but this is pretty fucking good.
Alright. We do actually need a reason for the culprit to save Keiichi, and I think Vyse's theory is the best one we have.
So you want to, like, perpetuate the legend.
Yeah. My theory
let's-
is that, of course,
Let's
the
step
first two
back a
murders-
second. What is the motive for causing the GHD?
The motive for causing the GHD was because they realized that they were playing it... Okay, how about this? So how many murders have happened? How many deaths, how many Oyashiro-sama things have occurred? I forgot the number. Is it like 5?
No, because Rika died and she was found, so it'd be 4.
And Tomitake is
So, like,
usually
was there-
counted as the 5th victim, so...
Oh, is he? Okay.
Basically, during the third one, so the only one that, before Tomitake, that I'm proposing that Takano actually did, she almost got caught. She managed to cover up the evidence, but she's aware that she almost got caught there.
What do you mean?
So, pardon?
How did she almost get caught?
What was the third one again?
What?
Third one.
You tell me!
Third one is
I don't know
Rika's
what's happening.
parents.
And what did they like?
Father dies of illness, mother drowns herself in the swamp. Supposedly.
Basically, in the cleanup, in attempting to hide the fact that she intentionally killed him through poison or something, or she intentionally infected him, she almost made a bunch of mistakes. And, you know, like, she almost slipped up and got caught, okay?
What's your basis for this?
No, let me work through this, okay? That's why she manipulated someone into doing the fourth one. And, yeah, like Keiichi reasoned, it was Satoshi who did the fourth one. And then she decided,
okay.
I'm going to get caught eventually. And if a human culprit, because I really screwed up the third one, and if a human culprit is caught and they can prove they were the mastermind, then it's going to kill the legend. So I'm gonna go out with a bang, and then she did that.
Question,
And
why
her
didn't it
entire-
happen in Watanagashi?
You got me there.
Because she could reasonably pin it on the Sonosaki family.
Yeah, let's roll with that. And in Onikakushi, she could reasonably pin it on Keiichi.
And, like,
She
so...
already had the plan to cause the Great Hinamizawa disaster, and she was planning to do it whenever she would have to
No.
take too much of a risk in order to conduct
No.
the next murder. in the
Keiichi
sequence.
killed himself. That's
Yeah, but
hardly a
Keiichi-
human culprit. Like, that's... He's like... On his death throes, he's saying it's Oyashiro-sama's behind me. Like, that doesn't kill the legend.
No. What are you talking about?
That's fine though, because if the Keiichi kills himself and blames Oyashiro-sama in his suicide note, then the legend continues, and she doesn't need to do the disaster.
Yeah,
But
in
she
chapter 1.
doesn't she want to end the legend?
No,
the
she
human-
wants the legend to live as long as it can, and she's had the Great Hinamizawa disaster as a backup plan for the last one if she ever doesn't have a safe way to commit a murder on a year.
In that case,
And she is like super into the legends too. That's why she's always going into the tool shed.
Yes, she is.
And it's possible that if the
but
Great
she-
Hinamizawa disaster is linked to the swamp but not Bike-san, then her
Takano-
studying...
Takano strikes me as someone who's critical of the legends.
To be fair, that could just be a mask.
Could be.
It's not an uncommon device to use.
She's definitely very knowledgeable about them and has interest in them.
Yeah.
if we are going with the Takano wants to keep the legend alive theory, that would probably be her posing as Mion stabbing Keiichi at the end of Watanagashi.
That's kind of hard, isn't it?
But she'd be so tall.
Yeah.
Look, wasn't she like...
A giant Mion has come to attack me.
To be fair, if you were that terrified, would you notice details like that?
Yeah.
No, I think that's the entire. Do you think so, SB?
I think so.
It's the entire basis of the idea that you think it's Mion is that I think we discussed this during our podcast where it could have been anyone, and that was the theory behind the Rena is the killer theory, wasn't it?
What?
Maybe. It's been a while.
Basically, the idea was, like you say, in panic, you don't see all the details.
Yeah.
Maybe she's got the clothes on and just
And
wearing
she's
a
a golf
wig.
rig. And that's it. Yeah, it seems like possible.
Okay, well. How did she do it? How did she induce the incident?
How to intentionally set off a volcano.
That is now in your search history.
Oops.
You've just been put on the list.
They're looking at it, it's like this guy doesn't even live near any volcanoes.
There's probably some technology that can, like, simulate, like, tectonic activity and just...
But
Ah,
then
yeah,
we would need...
Wired.com, how to trigger a volcanic eruption on purpose. Thanks,
Or
Wired.
maybe a lot of bombs. I think a lot of bombs might work. But you need a lot.
Oh, we need bombs. Bombs aren't used anywhere else in Higurashi.
You know, there really aren't. I can't think of any other incidents where bombs are, like, definitely used.
Like, if you want to go bombs, then I'm gonna ask you to present where bombs are a thing anywhere else.
I mean, I'm just helping you guys. Like, if I'm not telling you, if
Yeah, I'm just bouncing off you. Alright, so what else do we have? Okay, so they mentioned that it might have been something clogging up a different swamp. Okay.
Mhm.
What if she just literally got loads of wood or something and just went over and clogged a different swamp? Like, she got like the kind of stuff you need to explore, to like go under a swamp and like be able to breathe and stuff. And she went down and she just handled it.
how would she do that? Logistically.
Logistically. She has a car. It has back seats and a trunk.
I think you'd need a lot more wood than just what you can carry in a car, or maybe like 6 months.
And to be fair, it could have been prepared. Like, because remember, there is a year gap between each murder. For that year, she could have been looking into ways to conduct the murder.
Every day she puts more wood in the swamp.
No, like, every day she's, like, figuring out, like, every other day or something, she's figuring out, like, how to conduct the next murder. That's plenty of time for if she goes, welp, time to do the disaster this year. That's plenty of time for her to begin the preparations for that.
Still, clogging an entire swamp is a monolithic effort.
And to be fair, like, Takano is planning on, like, moving on with life after this. Because she's faking her death as well. So she can't really, like, keep much money on her. Or any of her property. She, like, has to go start a new life after this. Or die. One of the two. So she could just liquefy a shitload of her assets. And just pay people to do it. You know, like, the kind of money where people don't ask questions as to why you're putting wood at the bottom of a swamp.
Do you have any indication that she's filthy rich?
She doesn't even need to be filthy rich. She can just go, this loan, collateral of my house.
That's still like a house worth of wood. Maybe a bit more.
To be fair, houses are worth a lot. She could have moved to an apartment in Tokyo and commuted after that and just kept that a secret from everyone and just spent, like, all of the money she has on this. Because
that's also like, wouldn't like the local council stop her? Like, that's kind of like...
Well, she isn't paying local people to do this.
It's pretty noticeable. What do you think she paid off the fucking government to ignore it?
Okay, no, that isn't how much money a house gets you.
Yeah.
She paid enough for it to be done discreetly.
What if she owns the property where the other swamp is?
Indication that she's filthy rich is the issue.
There's a lot of hypotheticals going on here that don't really have any sort of evidence.
Okay. The big blind spot in my memory is Chapter 2 of Higurashi. What do we learn about Takano in Onikakushi?
She really likes creepy things and she likes investigating the shrine and... Yeah.
What is her job again?
Nurse.
Right, okay.
But for some reason...
That's why she's...
For some reason she
That's why she's
loves...
rich.
She's rich because nurses don't get paid that much. She's not a doctor.
She's probably a doctor, but she's like being subtle. I'm not a big deal.
Also, I am honestly wondering, we are trying to explain how one intentionally causes a natural disaster. So, aren't all of our possible theories going to have a lot of holes?
Yeah, there's no way to dial this in.
But I think that it's not impossible to cause one intentionally, especially if your entire life.
Come on, there's an explanation here that has plenty of evidence.
Well,
don't forget, it's obviously Oyashiro-sama.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Fuck you.
I was like, oh my god, Aspie's gonna give us a hint. And he's like, oh, fantasy lol. Oyashiro-sama is real.
I mean, it would explain everything.
Okay, what made Oyashiro-sama?
Well, when a god and another god love each other very much.
It's a big bang.
Did Picto just punch something?
No, I adjusted my knee and accidentally kicked my table.
Close enough.
Basically, I'm an idiot. Alright, so I just remembered a really important piece of evidence that backs up my theory. And that would be the mother's diary tips.
What's that?
No, it's true. It makes it look like...
What's the mother's diary tips, pictoshark?
This is so forced. Alright, so the mother's diary tips are...
What is a tip?
What is a tip? It is Rika's mother writing about how creepy it is that Rika knows all the shit she shouldn't know, and how she's a creepy child. And
We've already addressed this, haven't we?
no, we vaguely talked about it, but
We talked about how she acts a lot more mature than her age would suggest.
yeah, we're talking.
Yeah, we haven't touched on the books.
Yeah, and it's really good because it pushes my theory a lot. So obviously that makes it inherently good and moral.
What also pushes your theory is the tip why I like rainy days, which is basically the same thing that the first of the Mother's Diary talks about, but from Rika's perspective. Because Rika explains to basically the reader that she hates boredom and she hates repetition of the same thing over and over again, so it's not that hard to see that this is basically subtly foreshadowing that she's actually living through a shit ton of repetition somewhere else as well.
Also, I cannot remember what Gears and Fire and the Taste of Honey was like at all, and I'm half tempted to boot the game right now and check. What was that?
That was about if people, how people affect each other or actually don't affect each other.
Oh, I remember, like the gears and stuff. It was really stupid. Yeah, I remember. I got really angry at it because I was like, "This is wrong." Obviously, people affect each other even between towns and villages. You insane man.
What's in the box is also pretty interesting.
Oh yeah.
Wasn't the box just a kind of cute little meta thing? I don't really think too much of it.
That and okay, so there's this controversial thread we have on Rock and Chima called "Is a visual novel a game?"
And it's not.
And that the what's in a box thing and the extra scene on the end of the review session are like, hey, maybe visual novels are games.
And I'm like, no. But we can always get into that late and completely outside of the purview of this podcast.
Well, I mean, there's no point wasting time on a discussion you're wrong about.
Yeah, I am banned from talking. I am banned from talking about video games on Rakenjima. This is the only safe way to do things. But yeah, it was interesting. All right, so clearly, who do we think Frederica Bernkastel is?
Haha, the author. It's all fake.
Honestly,
Okay, then.
Just from the poem itself, I'd say you could ask yourself if this is actually Rika. Because
I think it is a character in the story. It is someone who's being killed by the killer.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like the
That's
other poems don't really indicate towards anything, but this one does.
This one.
I'd say the first verse is also a little bit in the direction, because the whole that the author of the poem will forgive probably the culprit, even though the culprit doesn't forgive the world and the world doesn't forgive the culprit.
Alternatively,
That could be seen there.
Frederica Bernkastel could be seen as representative of the village of Hinamizawa. Read through the poems with that in mind, and there's no contradictions.
It's possible.
That's
The village
interesting.
is indeed the one who cast you into the desert and made it difficult to find the truth. The village wants to know what it'll take for you to forgive it for the horrible things that the people of the village have done to you.
That's a really cool interpretation.
The
I
village
liked it.
is going to be destroyed by the criminal.
And the snake in the
I
water.
just came up with that just now. I was just looking at it like... I got it! I have a thing! And yeah, that'll be pretty meta if, in the final arc, they get help from the representation of the village. Higurashi just turns into a full-on...
Which is, wouldn't that be Oyoshiro-sama?
Shit. We have a problem here, boys. Back up! Back up! Back up!
Yeah, there is definitely a connection we can make here that Frederica is Rika, because knowing that you're going to be killed is certainly a thing. But,
Yeah.
even on a surface level, let's look at this poem. Who's the criminal? do you even know what the criminal is? Don't we search them in this story? It's like actually addressing the reader right now, because up until this point we haven't really been trying to pin a criminal on anything like as a mastermind. Like, we've kind of just been accepting the murders as kind of almost a coincidence, just a bunch of...
What we did was we looked at all the character designs and we went, Takano's the killer.
I mean, let's not forget that one scene in Tatari Goroshi where she's clearly suspicious. We haven't even talked about that.
Yeah, I mean, that just solidifies things further. She's like, oh, by the way, I have Tomitake's bike in the back, and Tomitake should have gone home by now. You know what that means, right?
We didn't meet each other tonight. Nothing sus.
Classic.
Yeah. Well...
Also, I'd like to... Are we allowed to go unreliable narrator on, like, the tips?
I guess. You're doing your point, man.
Because the thing is, we don't really have much evidence to suggest that Takano died in chapter 3. If you ignore the tips of the police finding her body, there's that one guy saying that Takano died that Keiichi overhears. And that's it. There isn't exactly the gold standard of evidence right there.
And it's good that you're questioning evidence like this.
Hey,
I mean, we already concluded that Takano faked her death via dental records, so even with the stuff that the police found, we can say this is just someone else in that barrel.
Can I talk about the thing that even Aspie didn't notice until I pointed it out to him a while ago?
What is it?
There was something I thought was super obvious, and I told Aspie about it because I figured, oh, he knows about it. It's like so easy. And Aspie freaked out, and I was like, what, you didn't see that? Okay. Frederica Bergcastell's name.
What about it? Oh, Eric. Oh,
Frederica.
Rika. Fucking hell! How did I not see that?
Does no one else pick up on this? Did I fucking figure this out?
Yes!
You people are blind.
Frederica,
like,
yeah.
It was one of the first times I ever saw the name written out, and I was like, Frederica.
To be fair, I just read it as Frederica, so...
Yeah. Got it. You're not Japanese enough.
Yeah, a bit more of a wit.
Well, I'm sure we can accept that at this point. I think all evidence would point to the Frederica being Rika, but that still leaves a lot of questions of what the hell these poems mean.
But what is a Bernkastel?
I had a wonderful idea, actually. You're going to have to edit
It's a place in Germany, isn't it?
What is a
The real Rika lives in Germany.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, we need to try and solve this, baby. I mean, like, there's obviously a lot of things we haven't got convincing answers for at this point, but I want to go back at all of the little mysteries throughout all of the chapters and see what we have with our new perspective. Now, this is what we're going to do.
Who is the mastermind behind Oyashiro-sama's curse, and what is the motive for it?
Takano.
The
Hey,
motive
look,
is...
see eye to eye on this one.
I mean, do we have a convincing motive?
The human Takano.
My motive is she looked at her character design in the morning.
She woke up one day and looked in the mirror and, man, I could do a good villain.
Okay. Rip the motive.
Okay, theory, debate question. Does she look evil in the original art?
Yes.
Okay, I haven't looked. I'm gonna look right. Actually, no. Yeah, okay, she's in the ultra.
Whatever. Did we
No,
include
okay.
one?
To be serious about her motive for a second. Because I don't want Aspie to leave this crying. Maybe she'd already done deep research into, like, the myths of Hinamizawa, and, like, her research into the myths is what gave her the idea to conduct the murders. And maybe she just simply wants to leave some kind of mark on the world, on the public consciousness. Some proof that she lived.
Fuck, I'll take it.
I'm not opposed to the idea that the first one just happened. She kind of made the rest work.
Yeah, that could also like work out well. But like, you know, do we deny the theory that? Do we not deny the interpretation that it's just the villagers just using the curse to their own means?
I deny that. I think Takano is a relatively lone agent.
Okay. Do you want to talk about like the footsteps and stuff and the strange sightings of ghosts?
This is the moment where I have to delve the most out of mystery and dip into the pool of fantasy a little bit aside from my time travel. Because I kind of have to rely on unknown symptom X, and it really irritates me.
I'll go ahead.
Oh, well, basically, something is making people crazy. And it made Keiichi crazy in the first chapter. And that syringe and the footsteps are
A symptom
of it very early in progression. And it basically just makes you more paranoid. And, like, it basically multiplies your paranoia. And
Do you have any
eventually
evidence for this?
Unfortunately, I can't really say the footsteps are a symptom of it. Because Keiichi takes ages to kill himself in the chapter 3 canon. And he does hear footsteps in the chapter 3 canon. How about the footsteps are... You hear...
Shion and Tomitake heard them in the shrine too, in Watanagashi.
The footsteps are a placebo.
Placebo?
Okay, what if? So who was in the shed? Takano, Tomitake...
Shion and Keiichi.
So what if everyone but Takano was standing on the left side of the shed?
This is the
Takano was
theory I
on the
had
right side of
last
the
time.
shed.
And it still sounds dumb.
And
Someone walked past the left side.
Takano just went... Oh my god.
I mean, whatever. Like, maybe a mundane explanation for, like, will fly, but it feels kind of dumb to me.
Okay, an actual decent mundane explanation is that the idea that Oyashiro-sama follows you around, if you have been particularly
Naughty.
is so ingrained into the villagers themselves that it is manifesting as a delusion that basically everyone has, and when they
But
feel
why
like
would
they've done
Keiichi
something
have
horrible,
Doesn't this happen right after Takano starts telling all the scary stories?
yeah.
Yeah, but does she tell Keiichi about footsteps following you if you're bad?
To be fair, isn't Keiichi? It isn't Keiichi's first day in Hinamizawa.
Yeah,
And he
but
doesn't-
he only heard about Oyashiro-sama, like, halfway through the thing.
Okay, I'm going to do a really bad cop-out. The footsteps behind you is both a potential symptom of the weird thing that is making people go crazy and eventually pull out their own throats, and is also a shared delusion by certain villagers. And we pick and choose
Why
based
both?
on the circumstance. Basically, because one or the other cannot fully explain it.
God damn it.
So we need both.
And what about when Keiichi saw a ghost in his house?
What the fuck? What chapter is this?
Onikakashi?
Of course. Wait, what? When did he see a ghost?
When he destroyed the entrance with a bat, with the
Oh, what?
baseball
When he's like,
bat.
there's totally someone behind me, and swung its back, right?
Yeah.
He says he saw something.
Yeah. Multiplied paranoia.
What did he smash when he flung around?
He smashed his shoe holder.
Yeah.
It's probably made out of reflective metal.
Mirrors.
And
Okay.
to be fair,
But it's like coloured, so
I
it looks
feel
different.
like immense paranoia can totally explain that. Like, when I was reading that scene, even before I was like, Keiichi is crazy, like, that's an understandable reaction to have just from the events that were occurring to him.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah, I
go
get
for
it.
a stupid conspiracy explanation of Chapter 1.
Okay. Alright. It's a bit hokey, but it's an answer. I'll take it.
Oh dear god.
What is Tomitake's true identity?
turns out that he just has a really lame name, and he decided to take a new one.
I mean, like, this is interesting. We didn't really talk about this, but there's the fact that Akasaka is following in Tomitake's footsteps entirely.
He's Tomitake Mark II.
Yeah. Which really causes us to question whether Tomitake is actually a birdwatcher.
So wait, when does Tomitake start being around?
He's there. The first time we meet him is in Onikakushi.
No, he means when did he
No, I
start
mean
visiting?
when in time does Tomitake go, oh, I like this town, I'm gonna hang out here every year?
Before Akasaka subtime. Before the curse and everything.
Okay.
Which is interesting.
Because it's weird in context knowing that Rika knows
If he'd have shown up
that
after
shit's
the
going
first,
down.
If he'd have shown up after the first murder, I would have an easier time explaining it. But he showed up before that.
Any thoughts, Vice, since you posed this question?
That's honestly one I have no idea about. I just know
Oh,
that
wait,
we
I have a
don't know
really
his
stupid idea.
identity. So that's an open question, but I have no idea what his identity would be.
I mean, I can think of one theory, but go
I
on,
could
Victor.
think of one really goofy theory. Over multiple loops, Rika eventually managed to make an anonymous tip to Tomitake that managed to convince him that something was going to occur in Hinamizawa. And she was her first call for help. This is another reason why she refers to Akasaka as Tomitake Mark II.
I see,
In addition, he kind of just roughly visited the place and like, oh, I guess I'll use a different name while I'm heading over there. It's kind of creepy, but I'll do that. And then the murder happened as predicted, and he flipped his shit. And was like, okay, time to start investigating it in a slightly bigger way.
This does feed in well into a Takano theory.
And then... But why... But his connection to Takano... Oh, what? He, like, thought Takano is the person. He was, like, getting close to her to find something. And that's why that's why she totally killed him. Yeah, that could...
That could
Okay,
work
there you go.
out.
I'm locking that in. That's it.
Okay, well,
Rika's first call for help.
something to think about.
If you ask how Rika managed to make an anonymous tip to someone, successfully convince them to come to the town with false identity before the murders occurred, remember there were multiple loops prior to that. Done.
But why would she ask for help for Akasaka if Tomitake has already agreed to help?
Because she has seen over several loops that Tomitake fails.
Ah, okay. God
He's
damn it.
exactly doing an amazing job.
Really have bought into this time
And
travel theory,
Rika
haven't
doesn't want to make any super drastic changes really fast because it might shatter
we?
her
Shatter
fun
time
board
space.
game time. Her fun board game times.
Alright, let's move on to the next question.
In Onikakushi, what caused Keiichi's suicide?
Drugs, man, he was on
He
drugs.
was on drugs! Remember,
Oh,
remember
God,
the
man.
syringe never injected him. That we never confirmed that the syringe that Mion was holding injected into him.
Yeah, that was left ambiguous.
She's about to inject him, and then we flash forward to them being dead, and they never mention what level it is at after that. Yeah, it just seems like, yeah, that was actually going to help. And then it didn't, because Keiichi, surprise, surprise, is stronger than a short girl
See,
of his age.
We also had the other theory for what was going on with that syringe. Rabla, do you remember? Pepe's theory.
Pepe's theory.
I'll restate it if you
Also-
can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Basically, the children there were saying that we're going to do the same thing we did to Tomitake. Which is definitely, like, points to
Alright,
some sort
I can
of
actually
drug
explain that line.
being used to kill. Yada, yada.
We're going to explain the same thing we did to Tomitake. I could come up with two explanations for this. A, they could have been saying something else, like, this time we're going to be able to save you like we failed with Tomitake, and Keiichi's paranoia made him mishear it. Or B, the reason why Tomitake seemed to have been beaten up is because he actually teared out his throat just before they could inject him, and he'd already been beaten up so they could capture him and then inject him to prevent his death. And they were indeed doing to him what they did to Tomitake, but they failed.
Pepe's theory was that Keiichi was fucking cray, and it wasn't even a syringe at all. It was a marker. And they just wanted to draw on his shirt.
That's actually pretty good. But
Yeah.
we're gonna draw on your face for failing, you fucking idiot. Oh my god, that's great.
And
Oh,
really
shit.
depressing if true.
Oh my god. No, actually there's something that doesn't make... No, wait, yeah, it all works. No, wait, doesn't work. Keiichi then proceeded to write in his note about the syringe, and then presumably attach the syringe, which in Pepe's theory would be a marker, to the clock. But then, for some reason, someone found it necessary to remove the lines from the syringe about his note.
That is definitely the oddest part of that theory, yeah.
Yeah, it's very difficult to explain why. If there was no syringe, why did they remove that?
Yeah. It's a bit weird. Okay, well, there's a few theories there. Next point, Vice.
Why did someone almost run over Keiichi in Onikakushi?
I'd like to extend
That's
this
a
to
hit
what the
on
hell
that.
is the deal with all those people, chasing after Keiichi in the woods and shit?
Isn't that kind of an Onikakushi only thing? There isn't really, a great united front of people doing shit in the other arcs?
Doesn't seem like it.
Which is weird.
It is weird. That's definitely one of the weirder parts of Onikakushi, if you ask me.
Well,
Okay,
the-
they are mental health doctors, and the guy who drives the van is a bad driver.
Alright, actually serious explanations now. Basically, for most of Onikakushi, it is Reina, if we take that Keiichi is being loopy, it's Reina freaking out about how Keiichi is being loopy. Then Mion kind of gets dragged into it at the last second, right? Mion getting dragged into the plot of Onikakushi kind of happens at roughly the same time those weird men start showing up.
So you reckon it's Sonozaki?
Reina was like, Mion, we need to sort this shit out. Keiichi is gonna do something. We need to, do the shit. So, they got the whole club together. And, that explains how they have the syringe that Rika had in the later arc. And yeah, they are Sonozaki family thugs who are supposed to capture Keiichi and bring him to Thing.
Why would they try to run him over, though?
That is just Keiichi being a delusional little shit.
Okay.
They were
And
driving
also-
to position themselves. They were already moving around to position themselves for the after school thing of capturing Keiichi.
Do we have any thoughts about Kantoku?
Okay, wait, can I say something important though? If they were swerving to hit Keiichi, then Keiichi fell on his ass. Why don't they just reverse and run over his head right there and then? If they were really trying to hit him with a car.
Well, it's pretty, unjustifiable, I guess. I don't know.
To quote chapter
difference between-
4, you could stab someone in the middle of the street in Hinamizawa, and it wouldn't be possible to prosecute.
Oh, you're right. Well, yeah. And so, we talked about Kantoku a bit. How the same word they use to describe the person who's coming in Onikakushi is the same word they use to describe Irie, the coach.
So when I
Coach,
watched
director,
a bit,
manager.
I watched a bit of the anime, and it was really funny because when they fan subbed episode 1, they subbed it as director, and when they mentioned Irie in episode 2, it said manager, but it said in at the top of the screen this was the same word that we translated as director in episode 4.
That's stupid. You don't just
there's no way to
yell
do it. Your fan subs are already out. Remember, they were subbing it as it came out. And I guess they're just idiots who can't read the visual novel.
Yeah. Fair enough. But yeah, that's the thing. So that would seem to imply that Irie was going to come on scene there in the van.
I'd like to remind everyone that in the manga gamer canon, they are talking about Shion instead, not Irie. Because they say manager in the manga game release in Chapter 1, but manager is the word used to describe Shion in the manga game release, and her relation to the baseball team. No, yeah, I know. In the Japanese version, like, they use, like, Kantaku, but...
Doesn't count.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, manga gamers clearly operate on a different canon, and we need to keep that in mind.
Like, I only read in English. I have no idea what the Japanese said.
Okay, so basically, when they said we need to call the manager in Chapter 1, or the manager is going to be getting here soon, think of them as saying coach there instead. That's the easiest way to think about it.
Yeah. It's a bit of a pain, but yes, they are using the same word. So, I don't know. I'll let you think about
Opinions
that one.
on that. Well, if they had got the entire, club and town together to stop Keiichi from slashing his throat out, lol, or they got, a bunch of their friends together to do that, they were calling Irie so that after they inject Keiichi, they can confirm that the symptoms are done. There, that was easy enough, right? And that the drug worked.
So the next one is, why was part of Keiichi's note destroyed and why was the syringe taken away?
Takano fucking at the crime scene. If they got that syringe... Although the drug or whatever the hell made Keiichi kill himself is untraceable, if they had the antidote for that drug at the crime scene, then the police might figure out what happened.
What was the part of the note that was removed again?
The part talking about the syringe. There is a very important piece of evidence in this clock. It is the syringe.
It was also... No. The part about the syringe was there, but they never found the syringe. What was missing was Keiichi thinking that the culprit who did the dismemberment might still be alive.
Oh yeah, that. I have a
That's
really
very strange.
I have a really lame explanation for this.
That just happened to be the part on the note where the syringe was? Is that your lame explanation?
I mean, well, no, it's lamer than that, don't worry. Takano read Keiichi's note at the crime scene and flipped out and went, no, that's not the kind of story I want to be telling with these incidents, and tore out that part.
So she wanted to keep it Oyashiro.
She didn't want to, the idea of any of the victims still being alive to be a thing up for consideration. They are dead. Obviously, I killed them. I guess her pride as a serial killer.
Okay.
I told you it was half-assed.
Well, it's an answer. I'll take it. Next up.
If Keiichi is crazy at any parts of the story, at which parts is he crazy?
Chapter 1.
Yeah.
So,
Where in Chapter 1?
he is just extremely paranoid and prone to... I guess the biggest problem, and it isn't mentioned by Vyse's notes, actually, and by Vyse's questions. What's the deal with Reina holding a giant axe?
She needs it, it's cute.
She's gonna take out the Kentakun or something. I don't know. She already got it.
Gotta get the KFC man.
A lot of explanations, when you start trying to explain the whole of Onikakushi, her having that axe becomes weird. In most explanations. Oh, they were trying to save Keiichi. Okay, why did she have an axe? Is she a fucking idiot? That's just gonna make him flip out even more. What's wrong with you people? It's my biggest issue, and I kind of need to fix it.
Counterpoint. She's a kid. She's stupid.
Counter. Maybe she was holding a giant plank of wood, which she was planning to use to knock out Keiichi if he got too uppity, but didn't look too weird. But Keiichi is already at the peak of his paranoia right now. So when he, so when she was holding
it's the same as the marker.
Yeah, I guess. When she was holding a piece of wood, he saw a giant cleaver. That also means that take that, stupid Higurashi fan artists who haven't read the visual novel. Her iconic cleaver wasn't even real.
It was real at the start of the chapter, surely.
Oh yeah, that one time. Fair point.
To get Kenta-kun.
To get Kenta-kun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he
So at some point after that he goes crazy? Is that what we're going with?
Basically, his paranoia is just drastically building throughout the chapter. And
Well, yeah, the narration does seem to
is,
match that.
And the more paranoid he is, the more susceptible he is to seeing things that are not there. Or just, like, misinterpreting things people say, incorrectly reading their facial expressions, and in general ways that would amplify his paranoia further. You don't really need him to be, like, completely loopy at any points.
Next question. Now we're going to Watanagashi. In that one, which scene is with Mion and which is with Shion? Is one of the central questions.
That's a can of worms.
That is a very good question. Why don't we just say that they switch places the whole time? To make it simple. It turns out that they actually changed names at birth. And, like, when they were kids, they just decided to swap places before their tattoo thing. And Shion is Mion for the whole of Higurashi, and Mion is Shion for the whole of Higurashi. Alright, it's perfect.
And I know Picto doesn't remember Watanagashi very well. And we did try to tackle this, but I don't think there was that much consensus back when we did the Watanagashi one of, like, whether it was Shion or Mion. I think there was...
It's kind of very unclear.
Yeah. But the possibility stands that it could be either.
The moment Ryokishi wrote on that piece of paper, by the way, I'm Mion's twin sister Shion, he just, like, the entire universe just went, oh no.
Basically, if you want to solve this one, you're going to fucking have to need to reread Watanagashi and post in that thread again. There's no other way around.
At the end of Watanagashi, who stabbed Keiichi?
Takano, apparently.
Yeah.
Takano or Rena,
literally anyone.
Go by the old theory.
Anyone who can pull it off.
Why did Shion commit suicide?
You could also argue that she was like Keiichi, in paranoia mode, and before she could cut her throat out, she fell backwards out a window.
Okay, here's the real fun. In Watanagashi, why did Rika have a syringe on her? So, I'd like to point something out. It is never confirmed that anyone in Watanagashi, except for Tomitake, lol, is going through the same crazy stuff that happened in Onikakushi. It could just be that Rika is mistaken and believes that the culprit is. Just like to float that out there for everyone. Alright, that's all I've got. Rika could have just thought that that Shion, Mion, Takano, Tomitake, Keiichi, whoever the culprit of Watanagashi is, was totally going cray, and the syringe would fix it, and tried to jab them with it.
The next question we have is about dissociative identity disorder. Are we still following through with this?
There's no reason to deconfirm it yet. Even though it is getting shakier every time.
I mean, Rena has definitely shown symptoms of DID in the past.
But then again, we only hear... I swear, like, the only person we hear about Rena's past from is Oishi, who has something to gain from Keiichi wanting to investigate her.
But
that's true.
No, but we do see other times where she flips her Oyashiro switch.
Oh yeah, her Oyashiro switch, god fucking damn it.
Yeah.
That's just like her otaku thing. It's a thing she's obsessed with.
Maybe she's also Takano.
Damn it.
Are Rena and Takano ever on screen at the same time?
When Keiichi was confessing that he went to the shrine storehouse to Rika, Rika talked a lot about metaphorically and who really are the cats and dogs in that conversation? Do we have a better clue on that now?
Yeah, so the cats are Rika. Cats are Keiichi and Shion and Tomitake and Takano, I guess.
Mm.
And the dogs are Hinamizawa.
Yeah, Hinamizawa. And like Rika's like, I'll talk to the dogs and make sure they don't misunderstand the kitty cat. The kitty cat did nothing wrong.
Alternatively, How did Rika die in Onikakushi? I swear she died in Onikakushi.
No, she didn't.
Or what,
Supposedly,
Nagashi?
supposedly
Whatever
murdered, yeah.
Maybe. Okay, so maybe she knows that Takano is the culprit at this point. And she is saying, because no one else saw them go into the storehouse, she is telling Keiichi that she's about to go talk to the person who saw them go into the storehouse. Takano.
Well,
So you're saying,
And then
so
she
you're saying
goes to
that
talk
the
to her and
dog,
dies.
the only person playing the role of the dog who saw them go in had to go in with them.
it's heavily suggested that Mion/Shion killed Rika.
Okay, then replace the dog. Everything I said about Takano with Shion. I'm about to go speak
Shion.
with... She was basically telling Keiichi that she's about to go speak with Shion. In a really stupid roundabout way. And then
With
she
a syringe.
Yeah, because she's like... Yeah, because she's gonna go jab her, because she thinks it'll
Gotta
fix
go
things.
put down the dog.
No. And then
That'd
she
be
tries to jab her, because she thinks she's going loopy. Yeah? So she jabs her with the syringe, and then it does nothing, and then she gets bludgeoned to death. Great. That's exactly what happened. Perfect. It's perfecto.
Why did Tepe not die? Or
He did.
he did?
Yeah.
I am honestly also going back to say that he did actually die, because
He died.
He died.
Going back to the hint that's talking about the grudge, which is probably from Satoko's perspective. Satoko hints at someone else coming to her house and continuing to abuse her. Because she talks about that one person is dead, why does the other person say the same things like the first person?
No, that was her talking about Satoshi and Keiichi comparisons, I thought.
But
Sorry,
but
I
she
missed that.
starts with the person said, I'm bad because I smell bad, so I have to watch. It seemed to me that this was
Oh.
more about the abuse.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was getting my scenes mixed up.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. So yeah, someone else showed up, I suppose, and continued abusing her. I'd say it works.
Is that even necessary?
I mean, why else did she get in the bath, Aspie?
Because she believed he was there.
I guess that works. That could work, I suppose. Alright, we'll roll that. But anyway, yeah, if we need to cover the holes, we can say someone else did. But yeah, it works.
Okay.
Next.
Why did Irie die?
How much evidence do we have that he did? Oh, I know the army totally say he did. Shit.
Yeah,
okay,
he's
that might be a
he's
problem.
pretty dead. He's pretty dead.
He's a pretty dead dude. Irie...
Right after is like Keiichi's totally crazy and Keiichi curses him and yada yada.
Irie totally got that thing that Keiichi got in Onikakushi.
Speaking
Which is
of
like-
that I feel like that scene where Irie's talking about Keiichi's condition behind his back is quite interesting if we're going with the whole crazy theory, and like, yeah, might be worth
I
having
don't
a
know
look
what to think
again.
of Irie.
What do you mean by that?
He seems like a complete mask, nice guy.
That's interesting.
I mean, to me it seems more like...
It's the glasses, man. Can't trust people with glasses.
Especially that fucking one image where he's got the reflection on the glasses. It's like, oh.
He just looks really sus.
We've talked about this before, but Higurashi, for the most part, with the exception of this one, seems to be very kid versus adult-y. Like, a lot of the adults can't be trusted.
Yeah.
There's always something. And it's like, it's weird that we don't have... Like, Irie seems perfect. Nothing Irie did except for that. Where he's like, oh yeah, like he's going around and Keiichi overhears him. It's like, oh well...
To be fair, he could just have considered that the best way to help Keiichi.
I mean, yeah, if I was a mental doctor and I saw someone like I thought was clearly crazy, I would want to comfort him and convince him he's in, good company, while also trying to treat him.
He's too perfect.
Another thing...
None of the adults are allies.
Okay, so I have a really goofy theory, by the way, which I should probably go into. So, someone obviously moved the body, if Teppei died, right? And Keiichi did dig another giant hole for it to be very conveniently moved into, right? What if, when he went out to the reception, because remember, a period of time passes where Keiichi is waiting in the room. If he called Mion and Reina and the crew, and told them about what's happening, and they said, "Oh, we can dig up that body together in like 15 minutes flat. So, in about 5 minutes, keep holding a conversation about how you're going to put drugs in Keiichi's tea until Keiichi goes to the bathroom and overhears you. Then by the time he's here, we'll have moved the body. And then we can bait Oishi to show up there, give Oishi an anonymous tip that the body's about to be moved, or something like that. Oishi shows up there, and then, that basically clears suspicion on Keiichi, makes it like he was doing something else or something like that. So it could have all been a ruse. Like, remember, he is the one who gave Keiichi the idea to go check the body. He said he would have that tattoo on his back. I don't know how this connects together, but yeah, that's how it looks to me, at least.
So it's kind of like the whole you can't commit a crime in Hinamizawa thing.
Yeah. Please
yeah, it very much feels like Hinamizawa. I guess everyone in Hinamizawa hated that uncle.
Yeah, pretty much everyone.
And then when Keiichi kills him, they're like, "This was the best idea. Let's help."
It's kind of nice in a twisted way.
I mean, don't you wish your community was that united?
Yeah. But more to the point, how did Irie die?
Fuck. It's a very good question.
Why? I mean, supposedly he committed suicide, but do you believe that?
How did he commit suicide again? He overdosed on something, right?
Yeah.
He was drinking his tea. He had his tea in front of him. He went to the bathroom. Takano spiked his tea. Done. Literally, Takano was just walking by with loads of lethal drugs in her handbag, and she looked into the hospital and saw Irie just go to the toilet and clapped her hands together well, everyone's gonna die in 12 hours here anyway, so why not?
You gotta get rid of these drugs somewhere.
Jesus Christ.
This will confuse Keiichi.
Whatever, sure. So, I think what's important here, right, is that we have made a considerable effort to solve these mysteries. And like Rikushi said, that's the point. As long as you give it some thought, then you have, in all intents and purposes, one Higurashi.
You could say we're playing the game right now.
If you have reached any conjecture, then you have passed.
Now that this is done, we have finally concluded the question arc's asterisk. There is another question arc. It is a console-exclusive question arc called Some Utsushi, and I have never read it before.
This thing you heard about 2 days ago.
The thing I heard about 2 days ago.
The thing you heard about 2 days ago.
I'd never read it before, but apparently it has received a translation patch that works on the Steam release of Himatsubushi, which is really freaking cool. And considering there's no other way to read this in English, I think we should probably consider doing a tea party on that. However, the script is still going through editing, and I don't really want to put people through a half-baked, half-translated game. So I want to hold off on that for a bit. We can come back to that. Hopefully it won't be ruined by reading Meakashi. But Meakashi is next for our tea parties, and it is the first answer arc. And it
Are we allowed to say what it's an answer arc to?
It is an answer arc to Watanagashi.
I'm genuinely asking myself if I should read Onikakushi and solve its mysteries before that comes out, or if I should just read Rose Guns Days.
I mean, there's still 3 other answer arcs to go. It's not going to answer everything, but it is going to...
It's going to answer most of the Onikakushi tier things.
Watanagashi, not Onikakushi.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say every time. I'm really bad at this.
Literally every time he says Onikakushi, he means Watanagashi.
Almost every time. It's really bad.
That's coming up next. We're probably going to dive into that very soon. I am gonna put a thing on the blog, which is probably in all likelihood already up by the time I publish this video. But yeah, so Meakashi, I really want this to be the big one. At least the biggest tea party we've had so far. It's not going to be so much about speculation, because there might be a little bit of it.
More appreciation.
Yeah, this is more appreciation, right? So, like, this is going to be more looking at the story and talking about what it did well and how we feel about it. It's going to be a very different kind of podcast than the ones you might be used to from us. And so it's also the first time where you could say that newcomers and veterans of the series can kind of come together on this, because there's no more needing to put up the pretense of not knowing what really happened with Higurashi.
And we all know that Takano is the culprit anyway, so...
Sure. You sure it's not Keiichi's mum or Rena?
Oh yeah, shit, I forgot about that. I can't even keep track
Well, they're all
my
the same
names.
person, Aspie.
Oh yeah, keep with the times.
Oh, weren't you listening?
It's obviously Rena's mum that's the culprit.
Reina's mother. Yeah, that's viable.
I really want people to start creating fan art for this tea party as soon as you can, because, like, we haven't got enough fan art for these tea parties, and I actually have prizes to give people who make fan art, and nobody's making fan art. So it's like, what do I do with this?
To be fair, what do you draw for Chapter 4? Like, what do you draw, the Mahjong game? Do you, like, draw
Akasaka!
the characters?
It's an
and the
Akasaka
Sakamoto?
fan art. Or, like,
But,
Creepy
like-
Rika or something. There's plenty you can draw.
You just described, like, 2 things. That's, like, it.
How am I supposed to draw Akasaka?
Oh, yeah.
What, he's not a
Spoilers.
cute anime girl, you can't draw
Idiot.
her. Oh yeah, shit, he doesn't have character art, Aspie.
Yeah. Rip.
Might as well go draw Keiichi.
I guess you could just draw Rika. But at least I know that Meakashi is very beloved in the fandom as a very important chapter. So I really hope that we can come together to produce some awesome Mion Shion art and all the other characters. So please work with me on that. This is important. Spread the word. We need to get those fan arts happening.
Okay.
With all that said, I have to announce the winners of our prizes for this tea party. I've decided that the MVP for most valuable discussion is going to VyseGolbez.
Woohoo!
Yay! You'll be receiving... I don't know. I would
just give
give
him a
you...
badge on the
see,
form?
I'd usually give him a copy of Meakashi, but I think he already owns it.
Yeah, I already
Alright,
have
when you
that.
give me the copy of Meakashi.
So we need to figure out a different price for you.
If it's
But we'll find
if
something.
it's going to be in the same price range, can we just say that you give me chapter 6?
No.
Damn it.
Perfect.
We'll
You
figure
got
out,
it,
we'll fi-
boys.
We'll figure out something. Either way.
Okay.
And I do have this prize to give to fan art, but no one submitted fan art, so I don't know.
Being ripped off.
Rabla, you didn't submit it. Doesn't count.
Yeah,
You don't want that on the forum.
We did actually receive
If I-
one fan art, but it was commissioned, so it doesn't count. Maybe I should just
Begins
hold on to
crying.
it. I don't know what to do.
If I posted that on the forum, you would have deleted it.
It's true.
Well, that's a thing. So, do fan art and you will get rewarded with prizes. Don't forget that, guy. Anyway, thanks everybody for joining us for this chapter. I hope you enjoyed the wild ride of speculation and crazy picto theories. And hopefully
I
we'll
live
look
to
forward
serve,
to
my
Podcast
lord.
was a mistake.
And I'd like to invite all of our veterans and newcomers to come join us for the Meakashi Tea Party very soon. Hope you
I still
enjoy.
can't believe I'm likely going to be attempting to sing after this.
Don't forget our chorus. See you later, guys. Till next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye!
てる